All right, everyone, welcome to the second day of NDI November, our sixth annual NDI November. This is when we do a spotlight focus on the technology that has revolutionized and driving our industry and now expanding to industries beyond pro video into other places. Yesterday, I had Miguel on, the president of NDI, and today I have the world famous, world renowned Dr. NDI. How are you doing, Guy?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Ciao. How are you?
Good. I want to take care of a little bit of housekeeping first and let people know today's show. We have Dr. NDI on, and then immediately following that, Kiloview, and then at 1 p.m. we have Panasonic. Tomorrow at 3 p.m. we have Epiphan. Then at 10 a.m. on Wednesday we have Netgear, followed by Matrox. And Thursday at 1 p.m. we have VizRT. And then on the 18th, we have Bird Dog, the 19th Canon, and the 20th an NDI roundtable that I'm really looking forward to because it's going to be sat in by members of the new NDI Advisory Council. We can't get the whole council. They're all over the world, but we're going to have a chunk of it. I'm super duper excited about that. So Dr. NDI is basically, he is one of the key reasons why I think NDI is in the spot it is, because not only has he been influential in spreading the NDI love where he is now, but the work that he does with NDI partners is really amazing. So in the chat room, someone asked a question already about, if I do NDI, does it have to be on the same VLAN? And another member in the chat gave the greatest answer in the world with, not if you use Netgear switches, because they make it so easy to set up multiple VLANs. And I want to give you props because I know when we first started doing NDI, the switch was always the problem. And I begged Dr. Cross to certify switches, but he wanted to be, hardware agnostic. He's also software. And that you and the guys at Netgear took it upon yourselves to realize that if we could solve this problem, NDI will explode. And it really has. We started selling the Netgear switches, quite frankly, as our number one tech support fix when people were saying they were having problems with NDI. But we've had multiple conversations, you and I, about it. So I just want to thank you for that. And before we get into the show with the introduction of NDI, talk a little about some of that work you did with the folks at Netgear, because I think it's really cool, the story on how you got involved with Laurent and the whole gang over there.
Oh, so this was back during COVID, and I was busy doing demo, and everything happened when the cloud production exploded, and I was really in the middle of tons of activity for cloud demo, etc., etc. And one day I had a conversation with Laurent from Netgear, the product manager of the Pro AV switch. And during the discussion, he told me, "Oh, listen, we have this new Pro AV switch with profile. Do you want to help us to make the proper NDI profile?" And I said, "Sure. I mean, just send me a switch and we can work together." And I've been working with them for 1 week, testing the different transmission protocol. They sent me 2 switches. Still have the 2 switches with me. It's part of a nice story. And yes, in 1 week we fine-tuned the profile, and that's it. I mean, this was a big. I believe it was a big activity, for the NDI community and user. The fact that everybody now can rely to a switch that is have some dedicated profile for NDI, and is making user life easier.
Yeah, I think it was the most important third party, collaboration that happened on the string of this. Not that PTZ cameras, everything we sell wasn't important, but those Netgear switches have been the glue that hold everything together. Now, we did a show yesterday called the NDI Primer, where we really went over, the basics of NDI. So I don't need to get you on that, but where we are today, give a little introduction of NDI today. Not where it was when it started, but where are we today with NDI?
So NDI 6, in my opinion, has been a big step forward for many reasons. Not only because the 10-bit and HDR support, but with NDI 6, we are on one side, we are pushing a lot, let's say, the evolution of the metadata standard in NDI. This is very important. And we opened this initiative, the Metadata Lab, so every company, individual that is interested to add the metadata standard to NDI can do it. We can work together. And so the initiative is basically, the reason of this initiative is because NDI is completely open to metadata. And but we want to take care of the interoperability. Again, all is focused on the user experience. And so this initiative of the Metadata Lab is to offer new metadata standard in NDI and to offer the interoperability between metadata manufacturer and software developer, et cetera, et cetera. I think this is very important. Then we have a lot of focus on NDI audio. And the next step, there are a lot of small pieces that are not really small, but for example, the bridge embedded, bridge as a service, and then with 6.2, we are starting this new way of managing an NDI infrastructure. So before 6.2, to establish the connection between a sender and the receiver, you need to physically control the receiver, no? And the problem is that when you have 100 or 1,000 of sender and receiver, this is happening in the real world. No? We have a user and partner that have thousands of NDI stream in their network. Then managing a network like this is become complex. And so we decided to add a layer of control to NDI. So today, and NDI 6.3 is coming, is adding another brick in this, new way of managing an NDI infrastructure. Today, we can have an application that manages the endpoint. So I can have an external application, even a third-party application. This is what we want to happen, that basically not only manage the connection between a sender and receiver, but is aware about a lot of information even before starting the transmission. And so the key of the evolution of the NDI technology is the discovery server. And so both sender and receiver with 6.3, today with 6.2, the receiver are sharing information to the discovery server, with 6.3, even the transmitter. And so before starting the stream, I will be able to know which kind of format is supporting the sender, codec, number of audio channel, a lot of information. And so, for example, my application will be able to understand if a sender is compatible with a receiver, for example, or if the sender is able to send what I need. So I believe is a big step forward for the complete management of a complex NDI infrastructure. We are not going to change anything on what it is NDI today. So people that are not interested to use this layer of control will be still able to use MDNS and the usual way of working with NDI, which is one of the top value of the technology. The fact that it's absolutely plug and play, you don't need a layer of control. But now we are offering the layer of control. And I think this is very important.
And, as NDI systems scale, that's what's so important. We have an NDI studio here. Gonna cough, guys. So, it's not really that complex for us. We have the NDI switch. It's 4 or 5 cameras, depending on our setup. It's the laptop coming in. But when you're getting into multiple studios being tied together or multiple endpoints that could be within the same facility, the same network, or bridging across the world, this becomes really, really a complex solution. I think a lot of people have heard of like the standards of 2110 and some other things that are coming. And I think this is a necessary growth that NDI has to make, especially if he wants to play in that playground where that is such a defined standard of where it has to be. And we talk about this a lot. We were talking about before, 2110's a real cool technology that's coming and it's here, but it's really for the highest end of broadcast. It requires a lot more overhead, a lot more IT specifications, and a lot more bandwidth in general. But one of the things that you guys are doing is you're working on the full bandwidth and HDX. And I think what we get lost in the weeds a little bit of that. Can you spend a few moments to just explain the difference between NDI high bandwidth and NDI HX?
Oh, yeah.
And then I have a follow-up question for you based on our friends Kiloview and what they're doing with you guys in 6.3.
Yeah. So we have, let's say, two.
Live shows happen, so I'm going to go on a little bit, and that NDI HX is more of the compressed version. Here he is. Robert, we lost you, so you got to answer the question from the beginning again. We had a little transmission problem.
There are few interesting things about this codec. For example, there is no any limitation in terms of resolution,
Roberto,
frame rate.
Doctor, yes, we lost you for a few seconds. You froze. So if you could restart the answer to the question from the beginning.
Okay. Yep. Okay.
Okay, and it looks like your video is frozen, but we have your audio. So let's bring up this slide, guys, and we'll have him talk. And if the video comes back, let us know.
Let me see what happened with my setting. One second. So
it's live and stuff happens, and he's coming to us from a remote location. So we're trying to see. He's trying to fix it on his end to see what's up. I apologize for this, folks. Welcome to the world of live. This is what happens sometimes.
Hello. It's not coming.
We can hear you.
Okay.
So why don't I just drive the deck and you'll answer the questions?
Okay, yes.
So NDI high bandwidth versus HX.
Right. So we have two flavors in NDI. SpeedHQ is our own codec and is used in the, let's say, in the flavor that we usually we call NDI bandwidth. SpeedHQ is our proprietary codec, is based on MPEG-2, is an evolution of the MPEG-2 codec, is iframe only. And there are a few things on this codec that make NDI quite unique. First, we have the embedded alpha channel support. Today is 10-bit, we support HDR, and we don't have any limitation in terms of resolution and frame rate and aspect ratio. So with NDI and NDI high bandwidth, we can output any kind of is basically a technology, is a format that multiplex in NDI an existing compression. For example, if you have a camera that output H.264 or HAVC, we basically use this compressed data over an NDI stream. The advantage of that is very important because with NDI HX, we speed up the time to market to many cameras, because developing from scratch an hardware based on SpeedHQ with FPGA is taking quite a lot of time and complexity and knowledge, because there are many cameras out there that already support H.264 or HAVC. Integrating this in NDI is really easy now with the SDK. And the other interesting thing with NDI HX is that we offer the same user experience, the same way of connecting device, is zero configuration. So there is no real difference for the end user. So
I know with the NDI, full NDI, you're working on a project with Kiloview that Can you talk about that? That's going to be in version 6.3, but that's adding a whole nother level of NDI full bandwidth. So talk about that, because I know like in the sports world, while HX is very, very low latency, it's not low enough for the sports guys.
Yep. So this is quite interesting. We are cooperating with Kiloview, and our R&D, Charles, our director of technology, is the super expert in FPGA implementation, is working with Kiloview. And there is this cooperation to define a new way of using a new format, a new SpeedHQ format that basically reduce the latency. I don't have yet the final number, but what we have seen today, even during trade show, Kiloview was showing some point-to-point transmission. The latency is quite impressive.
Yeah, we're really excited about that. Then let's talk a little bit about NDI over WAN, taking NDI out of the local network and making it, broader, where it can stretch, to another building, to another city, to another state, to another country across the globe. So talk about NDI over WAN a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, this has been a project. The NDI Bridge has been a project that took, I would say, 2 years. R&D has been super busy developing this technology. And the way they did it is extremely interesting. So with NDI Bridge, basically, we create a sort of VPN between two or three or four, multiple remote location. It's not only point-to-point, but it's point-to-multipoint, okay? So once the application establishes this connection between 2 point or multiple point, then the user have exactly the same user experience as working in a local area network. So you discover all the remote device, all the remote NDI stream, and on the other side, is bidirectional. So the other side discover all my local NDI stream. And so for the user is completely transparent. And so it's not only, again, a point-to-point, but is really moving the same user experience that we have in a local area network in a wide area network. And so it's extremely easy to use. It's very efficient. The latency is extremely low. And the fact that we can transport to multiple streams in this VPN is a big advantage. On top of this, we offer the full user experience with NDI. So if your source is fill and
PTZ
key,
camera, say.
Right, or PTZ camera. So you have the PTZ control, you can have the KVM control, you have alpha channel, you can send multi-channel audio, MIDI over NDI. Even all the metadata works over, this virtual private network generated by NDI Bridge, and this is extremely powerful.
Yeah, what we've seen is that, what we like is the PTZ cameras with the bridge that is embedded in it. I can ship that, I can set up that PTZ camera, ship it to a customer anywhere in the world. He plugs it into his network with PoE, and I can completely take over the camera from our studio. We can have a complete discussion as if he was sitting next to me, and he doesn't have to set anything up other than not sit in front of a bright window so that we have backlight, we can't see his face, which they still do all the time. You know that, and I know that. But yeah, let's jump a little bit over to something that I know you're really excited about, and I am too, and that is metadata over NDI. We've got video over NDI, we've got audio over NDI, and I'm not going to say metadata is the missing piece, but metadata really opens up the ability of scalability and interoperability on this to a whole new level.
Yeah, and this is very important. And by the way, on this, NDI is quite unique. I'm not aware of any other technology that offer this.
Yeah, SRT
is so open.
Yep.
Right. It's so open with metadata and is so well integrated. And so basically, we can transport in theory, we can transport any kind of data over an NDI connection. Today, of course, is video, is audio, but the metadata part is very important. Again, a very good example is the PTZ control, is the KVM control. But today we added, and if people is curious to see, just look on our website, the metadata lab, you will see that we have already SCSI trigger, closed captioning, media over NDI, DMX over NDI. And so the idea, again, is that we want to cooperate with partners to improve the amount of metadata standard we have in NDI. And the term standard is very important. As I said before, is about interoperability. If every company, every developer do his own closed captioning over NDI, which is possible, application we never talk to each other.
Yeah.
And we want to have a standard, and we want really to be able to have interoperability between device, software application, because this is the big story and is part of the NDI culture, the fact that everything is working together.
Yeah, and what Miguel mentioned yesterday is you guys aren't claiming what all the metadata people want. So if anyone's using NDI and they have a metadata example that they're looking for, get in touch with the folks at NDI like you and let them know what you're looking for, because you don't know what you don't know, but a lot of this is end user driven. And I do think that one of the things I admire most about what's happened, especially in the last 2 or 3 years since you've really taken apart and been Dr. NDI and the whole VizRT, NDI, its own company, is you're really responsive to your users and your partners. And I think that's really good, because that's why we've been able to scale. And I am going to bring up a slide because this is so important to me. And probably my first discussion with Dr. Cross after NDI launched was, I need a switch. My second one was, where's the audio mixer? How come I don't have audio mixer? How come I have to go through analog baseband, or how come I have to go through someone else's AV over IP? Where is audio? And over the last year, tremendous progress has been made. NDI for audio, VizRT came out with their Audio Connect box. I believe Mackie added NDI to one of their mixers, and the guys at Llama actually have an NDI-based mixer. So talk about where that audio is going, because I think it's so important. And I'm not going to say it's overlooked, but I am going to say it's overdue. So let us know where we are and what's coming.
So audio is something, audio is very important, because imagine that if you lose the audio, and this call is a very good example. We lost the video, but we can still making the show, no?
Yep.
The reverse is a disaster. If you see my face and you don't hear audio, and this is one of the reasons. At some point, we need to realize, and this is what happened, is that we realized that with NDI we have an opportunity to again offer a solution for the user base, and again this happened basically during COVID again. Because of the cloud production, all those guys that was trying to move their production facility from, hardware to virtualization and cloud, they were struggling with audio because there was nothing except NDI working in the cloud. And so this is where we started to think, and to say to ourselves, we need to do something more with audio. We need to learn, we need to improve. And the first action was the NDI audio plugin. But then, when you start playing with audio, you get, it's intriguing, honestly. And so the next step was then cooperating with Waves and with the other company, helping them to support NDI audio in their software application. And one day I've been contacted by Mackie, and honestly, I was really surprised, because Mackie is a company that build hardware, is completely outside the broadcast market. And so I had a very, very interesting discussion with the product manager of this product. And the guy told me, the reason why we want to integrate NDI in this small mixer is because NDI is so easy. Because, I start playing with NDI, with the NDI tools, and you open NDI Studio Monitor, you discover your source, and you connect, and it's done. And we want to have this, we want to offer the same user experience with the Mackie product. And this is what happened, no? And the reality is that because there is no, you don't have the need of a control application to control the endpoint once again, no? And this is the reason why Mackie was so interested, and they finally finalize the NDI support in their product. Then they've been acquired by Rode, and this then opened another level of discussion. The Rode now have the Rodecaster that support NDI video, another amazing story. Anyway, it's not audio.
I think the Rodecaster going NDI and that is a bigger story than you realize, because I think that's what's being used by the individual YouTuber,
correct,
influencer, TikToker, and it's a very, very broad product, and I'm really excited that you guys are going down there. I don't think it's an official product yet, but we kind of talked it. We're going in that direction. We're excited.
No, it's shipping. It's shipping already.
Okay.
So
I don't want to get anyone in trouble. I always worry about stuff like that.
No. We was demoing. I was demoing Rodecaster at IBC. So
cool.
It's shipping.
I want to jump into something that you mentioned before, because I think and for the audience, we're jumping all over the place here because he's really Dr. NDI, and the thought of this show was not just what was coming in the future, but talking about troubleshooting NDI in general. So I want to get into some of the tools we have for managing and troubleshooting NDI networks, because there's a lot of free tools that you guys offer that can really be used to make fixing, troubleshooting, or setting up new stuff easier as you expand it. You started to allude to that a little bit with the Mackie guys. So talk about, in 6.2, we've got some better management, and then there's some third-party tools that are coming along, and go into that a little bit, because I think it's real important, especially now that people are trying to take it out of like the studio like we have here into a broader enterprise, multiple studios, or a whole college, or different corporate campuses talking to each other. And at that point, no matter what, there's going to be a level of complexity. And you've guys given some great tools to help not an IT-focused guy troubleshoot. I think that's so important.
Yeah. We need to improve this, and this is, one of our focus. Today, we have very important tools like NDI analysis tool that, can easily help you to understand what's going on in the network if, you see drop frame or you have problem with NDI. But it's not easy enough. The fact that is a command line tool, you need to understand you need to see the number to understand. You need to read the documentation, understand the documentation. Even if everything is free, shared online, it's not easy for all the users. So we need to improve this. We really rely on third party. We really want third party to offer better tools. But on the other side, we need to offer in the technology some more information that help software application, third-party application to better analyze what's going on with NDI, with an NDI network.
But that's where some of these tools that are coming 6.3 with the better discovery underneath the hood are going to make this easier, correct? So I think when we get into that, when we talk about, discovery and sender status, it seems like, oh, what is that? Why does that matter to me? Well, it matters to you because it's going to allow us to create easier to use tools for you to manage your NDI network. So talk about some of that, because I think it's exciting.
So for example, what we want to add to 6.3 and 6.4 is really information. For example, if an NDI sender is having some issue with the processing, will share this information with the receiver and with the discovery server. So this is an ongoing process. I don't have all the detail now, but this is part of the roadmap. So,
well, why don't we jump a little bit into NDI over Wi-Fi, which was something that was introduced initially with NDI, and I think everyone realized great in theory, not great in reality. And we're working really hard to make that a reality. And I think you guys have really improved that a lot. We see that Bird Dog's got some Wi-Fi cameras that people are using, and there's NDI over Wi-Fi to me, was something like a Roadcaster, or there's a different streaming platform on the Mac. I think it's called Ecom or something, MCOM.
Yeah.
I just think it's very cool what you're doing there. And talk about, I believe 6.3 is going to give us a leap in that technology, correct?
Yes. And again, one of the top reasons for having a better support of NDI over wireless is audio.
Yep.
Because if you think about it, the typical audio over IP technology, because they require PTP, they cannot work over Wi-Fi. And so we want, and for us it's easier, no? Because we don't need the synchronization. We can send an NDI stream everywhere over internet. And now is Wi-Fi. And so Wi-Fi is not helping at all, as a technology, because the way it's working, Wi-Fi is not designed to, streaming.
Not conducive to video.
Exactly. But, what we can do with NDI, we can add a little bit of, for example, on the receiver side, we can increase the buffer management. So we can solve the problem that if some packet is arriving late on the receiver, we are not dropping out the packet, no?
That's the improvements in synchronization, right? We've got you provided us with a slide that I brought up full screen, because I think it's real important. I know some of the things that we hear about NDI, like big churches get frustrated with IMAG, and people doing events it's not quite there for, AR, XR type stuff. But we're addressing that, and we're getting really close to having that solved, that synchronization issue, correct?
Yes. I don't know if my screen sharing still work, because I can share.
It does.
I can show. Okay. So this is outside my home office here. I have my Obi-Wan, and this is the inside of my Obi-Wan. Okay.
I got to get me one of those.
And so what I'm testing now is the way to synchronize multiple streams. So now I have 3 sources received by a Trailcaster. And so basically, I can show you, we are doing this test with a partner in Italy, NetVenture R&D. They develop a software-based encoder, SDI, where this is the user interface. So basically, I have 3 encoder, 1, 2, and 3. They are connected with a Genlock source, and they are generating the NDI stream. And the source, the SDI source, has the time code. So I can compare the time code of the 3 stream. On top of this, this software application is running on a computer, and the computer is synchronized with a software solution. Grayware is a company in US that by software synchronize all my computer in my Obi-Wan and the small computer where I run SDIware with PTP. So I have my GPS antenna, I have the server, all my computer all the computer clock are synchronized with PTP, and is a software solution. So I don't need any dedicated hardware to do that, okay? So every camera, I can show you camera 1, 2, and 9. They are shooting this tool because I want to, and you can see the time code here, okay? Now, if I go to vector, let me open to TriCaster Multiviewer 2. I see the three different source, okay? And this is interesting. If I do a screenshot.
They're synced.
Yep.
Nicely done. That was a great demo.
Okay. If I do a screenshot, you see that are perfectly synchronized. Let me do again. Oh, let me do this. Okay. Okay?
Yeah.
Oh, there is probably one frame difference here. Okay, interesting. Then the guys at NetVenture, they developed a tool. Let me show you. Okay. They develop a tool that allow me to receive the tree stream and read the time code and the computer clock, the timestamp. So if I stop the receiver, I can compare the difference in time. So the time code is perfect. There is no difference in frame.
Yeah.
Okay. The timestamp, I see 1 millisecond difference. Or this is 94, the other two are 93. But 1 millisecond accuracy in video is nothing. No.
Yeah.
So we can say that, those streams are synchronized.
So it's kind of like NDI Genlock.
Yeah, something like that. So the beauty of this solution is that I don't need to, I can use any kind of synchronization of my computer. So I can use NTP. I will get probably less accuracy in the computer clock, but that's fine. Imagine that, I mean, in 1080 60p, every frame is 16 milliseconds. So if my clock variance is between 1 and 2 milliseconds, that's fine, no?
Yeah, I think even in the baseband world, we see that kind of delay sometimes.
Exactly. So at this point, there is nothing that we need to add in NDI because it's the receiver that will be able to compare the timestamp and if needed to realign the stream. So this is a completely different way to approach synchronization. Cool. And this is all because we add the metadata to the NDI stream. So the NDI sender is, if the sender is sending the time code, is adding the time code to the stream. Yeah. Fine. So then I can compare if there is a difference in the time code. If it's not sending the time code, we can use the timestamp, so the computer clock. And if I'm able to synchronize and to have an accurate computer clock that is not drifting, and I can do it with, software application, there are so many solutions out there to do that, then I get accuracy, and when I receive the stream, I just need to read the time code or the timestamp and realign the stream by software. So this is what we are working on now. And I believe it's quite exciting. I mean, even because it is a solution that, do not require, is not at the end of the day, we are not changing anything in the technology. We are just using what we have. That once again are the metadata.
Now, I appreciate this because that was a great insight to where we're going and what we need. One of the things I told the people who came into the chat room was that we were with this unique experience of Dr. NDI himself on the call. I wanted to see if anyone had some troubleshooting tech support questions or stuff like that. So the guys are going to go through the chat right now and see if they have any. But while you're doing that, can you bring this screen up full screen? Because there is so much great knowledge that exists in the world of NDI. So you can follow this URL code and get right to the docs and guides. And then also there's the NDI communities that are out there where you can join them and get education. There's community forums, there's support. So just click on the little, I forgot what they call these icons, the URL things. QR code, thank you.
QR code, yeah.
Click on the QR code, and you can be taken to all that good stuff, which is really great. And I'm going to throw back to the guys. Do we have any questions? Okay, so can you read the question directly into the show, or do I relay it?
You will have to relay it, or I will talk very loud.
Can we hear James?
Not clearly, but I will try.
Okay.
So, are there plans to add raw binary metadata support to NDI?
Are there plans to add raw binary metadata data to NDI?
Oh, we already do that.
Love that answer.
if you look the actual implementation of the closed captioning and SCSI trigger, basically we are multiplexing the VANC metadata as it is in an NDI stream.
Very cool. Next question, guys.
Next question. Is there any future development of automating connectivity across different subnets, essentially bridge or discovery working in the back end without the need for manual connection?
I mean, the key is really the discovery server.
Which we're working on, right?
Yeah, because you can have a discovery server connected to a multiple
subnets, correct?
Subnet, yeah, and then you discover the source, and that's it. Then of course you need to make your network switch being able to route, those streams. But in terms of discovery, that's the answer is yes, and it's discovery server.
And with the Netgear switches, routing those is pretty easy.
I think so, yeah.
Okay, we got two more. Will NDI audio ever be competitive with Dante, specifically talking about latency?
NDI versus Dante. We're going to have a little bit more latency no matter what, always, right?
Right.
Because of the video.
Yeah, it's not our, competing with Dante is not our focus, honestly. And if you want to do, for example, if you want to make a concert and you have a big PA system, microphone, digital audio mixer, this is Dante. This is not NDI.
Yeah.
NDI is an alternative where you don't need this kind of zero latency, but you don't want to struggle with PTP, with all the complex stuff that are required with a technology like Dante. For example, intercom. There are so many use cases where zero latency and perfect synchronization is not needed with audio, and this is one of the reasons why NDI have a big potential in audio, because it's super simple compared to other technology.
I think a good example is like our studio. We don't need zero. NDI is more than fine. If you're a small house of worship, it's more than fine. If you're trying to do, like you said, a sporting event with speakers all over the field or the Taylor Swift concert or some other event space or theater or production on Broadway, you need Dante for that. Dante's really the best because they focus on just zero latency audio from the ground up. We're just adding audio for those people who don't need that level of complexity. The thing I want to stress is with the proper switch, Dante and NDI will play very nicely on the same network. And there is some interoperability. We can bring Dante in a TriCaster example or something like that. But the cool thing about NDI audio is when you don't need all that overkill on audio, you can still have the AV over IP and all in one system and solution with one set of routing. So I think it's for those simple audio solutions that just want AV over IP for your audio, NDI audio is a great choice. And that's many or most of the people who are probably watching the show. But when you have real sophisticated audio where it's syncing multiple instruments and things like that, and echoes and effects and stuff like that, well, that's Dante's world and Dante's playground, and we're happy to let them have it, right, Doc?
Yeah, and the reality is that, to give you an example, a real world example is 2 years that I'm involved in a production is the International Junior Grand Prix of Figure Skating. Is 2 months of live production, 7-week, 140 hour of live production, and everything is based on NDI and NDI audio. That's it.
Awesome.
Even the commentary system is using NDI audio.
Cool. Any other questions, guys?
Okay, so we have two more. One just came in. So first is, can you elaborate on sending out a configured PTZ for remote connection bridge?
Yeah, the bridge embedded in a PTZ camera.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we have some partners that already developed this solution with their camera. I believe it's very exciting. Once again, because it's offering the full user experience. So you are able to completely manage a camera on the other side of the world, just running NDI bridge. You see the source, you manage the camera, and that's it. I think it's amazing.
Now,
I would like.
Correct me if I'm oversimplifying, but basically what you do is you set up the camera in your own system. You get it all set up with the bridge where it's talking to your TriCaster or whatever you're doing, and then you unplug it, pack it up, and send it wherever in the world is. And the home TriCaster knows how to go ping and find that camera when it fires up.
Not that easy. So you need to have an NDI bridge host somewhere.
Correct. Yes.
And then it's done. You plug the camera somewhere else. The camera is pre-configured to be connected with your bridge host, and then you open TriCaster, you see the source, and that's it.
Right. So I have a laptop or a PC running bridge. It configures with the camera. Then I send the camera anywhere in the world. The computer finding bridge will find it, and then it'll send it via NDI to my TriCaster or whatever mixer I want to use. But it's I believe the VizRT cameras have it. I know that embedded bridge is it Canon who did it?
Oh, I don't remember. I think I honestly
we're going to go follow up on that and figure that out. What's the next question we have? Last question.
I have 48 channels of AES67. Can I move this over NDI bridge, or should I use Dante Connect?
Oh, so there's a little bit of confusion. If you want to transport multi-channel audio over internet, you cannot do it with Dante or AES67. With Dante today, it's possible with Dante Connect. I don't know exactly how the product works, but if I'm not wrong, is from ground to cloud. I don't think you can do point-to-point over internet, but I don't know the product, so I don't want to give offer a misinformation. With NDI, you can transport multi-channel audio, but you need to let's say you need to have a gateway between Dante and NDI and vice versa.
So the answer is we could do it, but it's pretty complicated. And right now, the best way really is Dante Connect for that particular case, because the guy's doing it.
I mean, if they are using Dante, yes, but depend on how complex it is to set up Dante Connect. The other very, very interesting solution today, and it's quite easy, you download NDI free audio from the NDI website. And with NDI free audio, you can transcode on the fly, a multi-channel Dante stream into a multi-channel NDI stream, and then transport over internet.
Awesome. I thank you much. I know we have gone way over the time limit that the guys had given me, and I think the folks at Kiloview, we've got to get them on. So I want to thank you very much for being on the show, Roberto.
Thank you. I'm sorry that the video is no longer working.
That's okay. We got it done. And guys, we want to bring the schedule up for the rest of the show while we then ping in. And I think what's going to come back is Kiloview. And so thank you, everyone who tuned in. And thank you, Roberto. And NDI November. Keep watching. Here's the schedule, guys.
Thanks for using and supporting NDI to all of you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Hi, this is Jim with NDI November, and I am being joined by a special guest in studio today. Judy from Kiloview is going to be talking to us about her NDI products and all of the great workflow solutions available from Kiloview. Judy has just joined us at the NAB New York show. It was a great show, wasn't it?
Yeah, sure. That's a fantastic show.
It really is a fantastic show, and we're very happy that while you were in town, you took the opportunity to come in studio. We usually have you joining us over Teams, and it's so much better to have you here in person.
Thank you so much, Jim. I'm also very excited to be in person in the studio and to talk about the NDI workflows and all those things.
Absolutely. We've been doing NDI November for a number of years, and I know we've had you join us as a guest in past years. And one of the things I would love to do is start by talking about Kiloview's rich history in NDI solutions.
Yeah, exactly. You know, in the past month, in September, actually, we also announced a few like celebration videos to, you know, just review our history with NDI for 10 years. And there was also this year is the 10th anniversary of NDI. So starting with NDI in like, you know, our history can go back to like 2016 sometime. And all those years, what we try to do is always just bringing products out. So yeah, that's why you can see Kiloview has a bunch of products around NDI, right? Like we have all kinds of the NDI converters.
Yes.
You know, all kinds of like, you know, form factors, not just SDI, HDMI in, out, but also we have the systems solutions like the recorders, multi-view, routing systems, as well as, you know, all those kind of media gateway products that can cross-convert NDI to the other IP technologies or IP technologies back to NDI. So what we in the past 10 years, I think what we try to do is always trying to get a product fit into the NDI workflow in the NDI industry that can make people really use our products and solutions to just switch from the traditional baseband workflows to IP. And also we are just always trying to help customers to make a more flexible and efficient solution, just also making them to enjoy the IP technology, IP world.
Absolutely. And I'm sure that there are many people in our audience who are familiar with the Kiloview brand, with the simple HDMI to NDI converters, SDI to NDI converters. One of the things that we've seen as NDI technology is maturing is the need for more enterprise workflows. And what I'm excited to talk to you about today are some of the enterprise solutions that are available for some really super advanced workflows, namely the brand new Kiloview RFO2, the Cradle series. Can you tell us a little bit about that product and why that product was created?
Yeah, of course. You know, as we previously mentioned, we have a bunch of the NDI products, from the converters to the media gateway to the NDI solutions. Well, when we provide this kind of solutions to customers and the customers trying to put the products, the NDI solutions into real workflows, in, of course, studios, broadcast studios, as well as, especially as you mentioned, into the enterprise, the corporates, or some of the size. The thing is, we still, you know, IP is already saving a lot of the time, energy to get the cables out. But still, even if you are using the IP solutions, still there are a lot of cables, a lot less cables, but still a lot of cables.
A lot of cables and a lot of little black boxes, right?
Yes, a lot of boxes and a lot of configurations. Like, you know, every device probably will have a specific IP address. You need to get access in. You need to set up everything. Still, you will need to jump here or there. Well, at the same time, sometimes if you really want to move a solution from this side to the other, you still have a lot of things to start. Like, you need to take the cables, you need to wire up everything. So we still feel like we can do something to improve the whole workflow to make it even easier, simpler, and more efficient.
Absolutely.
And that's why we are thinking, why not get less cables? We put a network switch part module inside of the solution, then there will definitely less cables. And why not we put a server inside, then we can centralizely manage all the devices. And why not expand the workload so people will be able to run all the other software solutions in it. And that's why we designed the RFO2.
And what I love about the RFO2 is that when it was designed, you created this universal media center product, but with a modular design capability so that system integrators and enterprise customers can really configure and set this up to meet their production needs. A little bit later on this afternoon, we're going to have someone from our sales engineering team join you to talk about some of these advanced workflows. But the Cradle series has the ability to put in up to 18 different modular cards, right?
Yes. So it's very high density. Within 2RU, we actually have 18 card slots.
Wow.
So you will be able to choose whatever card that fits into your workflow and give you full flexibility to combine your solutions. So you can choose all of them to be encoding card to make it a super encoder, or you can choose all of them to be the decoding mode. So all of them will be a super decoder. Or you can combine encoding, decoding, plus with our media gateway card to do the cross conversion and to make it as a kind of small studio. So it's very, very flexible.
Very flexible, very robust. Fully integrated network switch is built into the chassis itself, right?
Yeah. So getting the network switch inside, actually, as mentioned, all the 18 cards can talk through the internal network switch through the PCIe interface without really need to connect each card with a cable, and then each card will have another IP address, but all through the internal one, they will be able to assign the IP addresses through the internal network switch and making everything just DHCP. So when you plug in the card, everything will automatically give you the message, and that you can directly get access, and each card can talk to each other internally, and making it more reliable and also even more efficient for transmission, lower latency, and all those things all come together.
And to the point that you made earlier, picture a desktop studio with 18 little black boxes and network cables connected to every one of them, and HDMI and SDI cables and all these things now built into a rack-mountable 2RU chassis, giving you the ability to create that engine that drives your entire workflow. That is a great design. And here we're looking at a little bit of the modular design and really all those different capabilities that you can do with the different cards through the RFO2.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the different card options and some of the modular cards that are available. Can you introduce them to us? Julie?
Yeah, sure. So right now we have already quite a few options now. We have the FM50, FM60. That's the 4K HDR level of the bidirectional conversion card, not only for NDI, but also we open to the other IP protocols like SRT, RTMP, RTSP for remote transmission, for live streaming. And it's bidirectional, so you can switch over between the encoding mode to the decoding mode. And also we have the newly released FM7 and FM8, which is the HD version that's more cost effective. We have the media gateway card, that's what we previously mentioned. And also we have the FD360, which is a kind of decoding card, but also we can make it working as a kind of hardware multi-view. It can support up to 16 IP video streams come in, and you can create the layouts with different multi-view modes, and also the compute card. That's what we are going to talk later, as well as probably we will have more cards to come and then give more options to customers.
And the great thing is you can configure this gateway or the Cradle series, the RFO2, to include the modular cards that you need today and expand it as the production needs grow too. And you can do all of that through these different capabilities. You spoke already about the encoding and decoding cards and the different families of cards that are available to meet the production needs. Not just NDI, your other AV over IP protocols, HDMI, SDI solutions, HD, 4K, HDR. You're checking every box with these cards along the way. And then we talked about the media gateway card. This really opens up the door for some other truly unique applications too, right?
So the media gateway card, as we call it, a gateway. So it's really a gateway to all kinds of the IP technologies. So not only is a IP to IP conversion card, so that can support the protocol conversion, but also can support the transcoding. So imagine if you have like your existing NDI production systems, which only takes the high bandwidth NDI, but right now I think most of the PVC cameras now is outputting the NDI HX. So there is always a gap, and you're thinking about using the NDI bridge or some other software to do the conversion, but you can also use our media gateway card to do the transcoding from HX to high bandwidth NDI. Or you can also do the conversion between the NDI to like SRT to RTMP for whatever, different workflow purposes. And another thing we would like to highlight is the FMG card can also be the gateway to like receiving our bonding signals from our P3, our P3 mini. So just imagine this one can also be work as a kind of bonding receiver. So you can get the field video signals and using the RFO2 to receive it, and using the media gateway card to like streaming it or to sending back to your studio or whatever. So there are quite a lot of flexibility with the FMG 400.
So production customers who are looking to add remote contribution, you can send them with a P3 Mini or a Kiloview P3 out into the field with cellular bonding and receive that back through the media gateway. And then take that video feed and incorporate it into your full NDI production, AV over IP, whatever you need to do. You can get that all routed through that Cradle series. That's excellent. And then we talked a little bit about the compute card. This is one of my favorite things that you've done with the RFO2. It really is like putting another engine inside of this processing power. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, exactly. Every time when we talk to customers, there is always a kind of needs like they, as we are doing the IP technology, then the biggest advantage with IP is everything can be like powered by your software. So, and always a computer will be very important in the workflow. And customers say, oh, if we really have some kind of like production process on field, we don't really want to carry a lot of the computers. So that's the reason we're thinking, why not we put the computer inside of the RFO2, and then that means it's a kind of expansion of the whole workflow. We will be able to run whatever software, either is for audio, for video, mixing, graphics, switching, recording, routing, whatever. Then it's just really a magic thing, putting it inside of the RFO2, making the whole workflow even more complete, and exactly just as you mentioned, it's really the engine for the whole RFO2 is the core parts.
Absolutely. And I know our system integrators who are installing these NDI production studios will use these in very different, unique ways and applications, even to tie in special audio, video, HTML graphics platforms. Any of that can all be done with the use of this compute card. With the RFO2, it is designed for an enterprise installation.
Yeah.
You're getting that rack mountable, and when you look at the unit itself, you've seen everything that Kiloview has done to add to that reliability, right?
Yeah, of course. So, cooling is very essential for this kind of units, and well, it's very high density, and also we are putting the compute card inside. So just imagine.
With 17 others, by the way.
Yeah, just imagine if you really run all those things inside of that very high density rack mount chassis, reliability and also the cooling and all those kind of how we will be able to make it working reliably 24/7 non-stop. That's always essential. And of course we have quite a lot of the special designs and the cooling mechanism, redundant power supply, and also giving you the flexibility to monitor all the status from the display.
Awesome. We spoke a lot about the RFO2. I do want to take a little time and talk about the Cube series of products too, because again, these are very unique solutions in an NDI workflow. Tell us a little bit about the Cube R1 and the Cube X1.
Yeah, sure. So as we all know, for the NDI workflow recording, and if you also have a lot of the sources and routing the signals from this source to that destination is always a kind of common request. So the idea is we want to provide a kind of turnkey solution for our customers based on our hardware that can very easily, for customers to choose whatever sources they need to different destinations. And that's why we designed the Cube X1. It can take up to 16 video sources in, and you can also create up to 32 destinations. So, and also through the the touch screen on the units, you will be able to preview all the sources, where you can very easily select the sources routing to different destinations, and also you have the options with the cross points or whatever. And most importantly, we also offer the APIs, so you can easily integrate into the systems for easy routing and control, and also even it can realize like automatic switching if you set up a kind of playlist with the Cube X1. And for recording, that's also very essential. And exactly as we previously mentioned for the compute card, the same idea, customers say, oh, we don't really want to bring a laptop to run the recording software and then build a kind of a specific recording device that can support multiple channels of the NDI recording simultaneously. And even we have more options for like, the recording file the formats, and also how we will be able to like easily doing the backup recording to make sure of the reliability. That's all we considered to put into the Cube R1, and very easily for customers to put the Cube R1 into the workflow.
Absolutely. And I know even in our own NDI production studio, to use the Cube R1 to record all of these NDI sources and to get that ISO recording takes a lot of the production power away from the system that's doing the producing itself. So if you're using something like a TriCaster system, you want to make sure you have as much horsepower as possible for your production. So now offloading something like ISO recording to a Cube R1 is just a great workflow enhancement. Lots of different options, lots of different solutions from the Kiloview product family. We're really only talking about a few. Between the RFO2 and the Cube products, we're really just touching upon some of the great NDI stuff that you have available. So thank you for all the great stuff that you're introducing. I am going to ask you to stay in studio with us for a few more moments, because what I'd like to do is invite Dan Hirschon from our sales engineering team to talk to you about some of the different workflow configurations on the RFO2. We have sales engineers here at Broadfield Distributing who can help our customers and system integrators talk about some of the different ways the RFO2 can be configured to make your production a success. So stay tuned. Dan will be coming up with Judy in just a moment.
Hey there, welcome back to NDI November. I'm Dan Hirshorn, workflow sales specialist here at Broadfield. Just want to take a second to introduce our CP crew, our sales engineering team here at Broadfield, led by Glenn Seaman, my counterpart Logan, who are both based out of Texas, and I'm here at HQ in Mineola, New York on Long Island. Really a pleasure to have Judy from Kiloview here in the studio with us today. She already had a great conversation with Jim, but really I'm jumping in so we can get a little more technical. And really what I'm here for our dealers is to be an extension of the Kiloview team. It's to be an extension of all our manufacturers to help you guys figure out, fine-tune, hone in on the technology that you need to complete your workflows, in a variety of different verticals. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. So there's a lot of application scenarios here that we can look at with the RFO2, right, Judy?
Yeah, of course. As previously we have already went through the, what the RFO2 can do. And with all those kind of designs, combining with the network switching side and the flexibility that you can put whatever you want. And specifically, we have the compute cards. So that actually can make the RFO2 a perfect fit for all kinds of scenarios. And just imagine, of course, the broadcast studios, the enterprise or corporates, and also like house of worship, sports, or like for the other production scenarios, events, whatever. The RFO2 can always be a great help for customers that's either they want to stream or they want to do all those kind of transmission or whatever. And yeah, that's what it can help as always.
I think it's worth bringing up house of worship. I know a lot of our dealers out there watching have a lot of success placing technology that works in house of worship for these streaming applications for these services. And the RFO2 is the next logical step. Once you've got maybe 9, 10, 15 Kiloview decoders on your desk, maybe it makes sense to have them living in the brain, the shell, and that compact 2RU. You're just getting a lot more value, scalability, flexibility. Like you said, we know there's 18 module slots. You can have that compute card in there. It can scale to, for House of Worship, up all the way up to these mega churches. Obviously we see some smaller setups where maybe this is overkill and we can just get them the encoders and decoders and the gateway cards that they need. But once you're really sending your signal around to a lot of places and doing a lot of things at once, it can get very complicated. And that's what my team is here to do. And we're actively involved in speccing out Kiloview solutions for our dealers right now. So it's a lot of fun for us to talk to end users and talk to the manufacturer and sit there and say, how can we get this working in a way that makes the lives easier of those who are producing these shows in these churches, in these synagogues, in these mosques. Super cool and very related to what we're seeing in the enterprise and corporate space. Conference rooms,
training rooms, classrooms.
A lot of that. I mean, something I like to say is that every company is a media company. So even if you sell life insurance, at the end of the day, we're all making content. We're all making video in a variety of codecs, resolutions. It gets complicated fast. And luckily, Kiloview has a tool for basically everything in your NDI environment. I think it's worth taking a look at sports as well. I know we have a lot of dealers in that space. So could you tell us a little bit about how maybe the RFO2 would work in a sports workflow?
So for sports, I think this is really a very interesting scenario that all kinds of scenarios that probably could be possible using the RFO2. So first of all, if it's really very simple scenarios like you are just getting a few signals with the fixed cameras, then having the RFO2 just connecting the cameras together and also converting the signals into NDI. And if you want to do like graphics, you want to do a little bit production switching between the cameras and also doing the streaming or whatever, then, easily just put a few conversion cards into NDI, and also after getting the production, get it back to multi-view or whatever, running either on our compute card, or if you have any separate production systems, that's all possible. And also, if there is any kind of like, the mobile shooting cameras,
Absolutely.
Using the 4G, 5G on the field, then also you will need to think about all those kind of like our P3, the P3 mini, the bonding encoders, and the R02 can, by nature, it can also receive the bonding signals from our P3 and the P3 mini, and it can also bring it into the NDI workflows through our Kilolink server and getting the video signals into the production system. So that actually can help a lot, either for the production purposes or is like, for some of the clubs, for all those kind of sports clubs, for the hospitality area, for the venues, how they will really actively receive all those signals back, and just bringing an R02 on site and just imagine how easy it is. Yeah.
No, it's fascinating, and likewise, I think it's worth bringing up. Sports production and regular broadcast production.
Yes,
we're showing an example of a real RFO2 use case here in the slide.
Yeah.
Listen, there's a lot of tools. Like I said, you might not know day one when you start imagining your Kiloview journey, your NDI journey, what exactly you need in this workflow. But I think it's important to point out, like we're talking with that remote piece, Kiloview has complementary products on their line that can even complement further what is already a very robust platform with the RFO2. So it just goes to show your guys' experience with NDI is impressive, and it has, it shows through the way that all of your products really work together. So in this example here, what can you tell us a little bit about what's going on, what the end user is trying to do here?
Yeah, so this actually is a very typical case that we did with our local TV station, where they are going to do quite a lot of the events on site, not just in the fixed studios, but sometimes they also need to receive the signals, just for example, the sports or some kind of live events. So what we help them to design the system is we put our P3 on the field with all those kind of mobile shooting cameras, and just converts all the video signals back to NDI in the studios through our R02. And also the other video signals, just if it's fixed cameras, then we just convert the videos into NDI through our FM50, the 12G SDI conversion cards. So the 12G SDI up to 4K HDR high quality videos can be converted into NDI. And then, very flexibly, they can combine all those video signals, either is from the P3 or from the fixed cameras, and they can create a kind of like multi-view through our FD360 card. That's, they can monitor everything, checking the status, while at the same time, they need to do a little bit production. That all depends the situation. Sometimes if it's really very professional one, then they will use the production systems, the big production systems. That if it's like, for those kind of weekend events for sports or whatever, those kind of concerts, then they just move the R02 to bring the compute card inside. Then they can flexibly just use like Remix or the other production software to put in the graphics, mixing a little bit, and doing the live streaming. And also, using kind of the decoding card, then they will also be able to bring the sources to the traditional production systems as well, while recording the signals, as we previously mentioned, using a independent recorder, the CubeR1, to do all the source recording, to actually save quite a lot of the power from like the production systems, and that can also make the whole workflow quite reliable, and they can also do like the editing or whatever in the future. So this is very typical, the solutions we use, the RFO2 and propose to those kind of broadcast users. And the beauty of this solution is, they can very flexibly adjust the workflows. Either they need to get more video sources in. If they have more cameras, then they just simply say, okay, let's put more encoding card in it.
Yep.
And if they want to doing a little bit conversion, so if they have the SRT sources in and they want to convert into NDI, then using a media gateway card, they will be able to flexibly adjust everything. And it's always very easy for them to move the whole solution from here, there, and no extra cables to worry about. So
that's always nice.
Yeah, and also, through the unified platform, always just one IP to log in, and then you can manage all the cards. So making life much, much easier.
And I think that's a great point to sort of land on here.
Yeah.
The unified management features of the RFO2 really seal the deal in terms of what you're able to do with it and the ease at which you're able to make changes, even on the fly in some cases. So lots of options, lots of flexibility, lots of scalability, from project to project, things could change. You might need more, you might need less. That's the beauty of this chassis. You can fill it with whatever your heart desires, as long as it's getting you your high quality end video result out to the people, right?
Yes, exactly.
And we do actually have a launch promotion coming up here. So this is extended through the end of the year, right? So through December 31st, 2025. Please reach out to me, Glenn, your Broadfield sales rep. Set up some time to talk to our sales engineering team if you have questions or even just curious about the RFO2 or anything on the Kiloview product line. We are happy to help. We have so much joy to work on projects like these that get interesting, down and dirty, in the weeds, technical, a little nerdy. We want to know that your needs, the speeds, how many feeds. We want to help you. And if we don't have the answer, we have a great engineering team over at Kiloview and Judy as well, who are happy to work and weigh in and help sort of execute these projects. Another thing I'm going to mention real quick is that we do have Kiloview eval gear available. So if you are looking to try some of this out, maybe haven't used Kiloview before, please contact us. We're happy to get you some evaluation gear in your hands so you can play with it. We even have, in the studio here and the workbench where we could test certain workflows out for you ahead of time. So if you need things tested, we're happy to do so. We're happy to figure it out with you. We're just here to solve some problems together. And I think, an extra 10% off on the chassis and any module cars that you're buying is a pretty good deal.
Yes, it is. And it's extended until end of the year. So just seize the opportunity and start testing the unit.
And I would say now's the time with this promotion to start looking at this. And we're happy to discuss any and all configurations, workflows, or otherwise. So thank you so much, Judy, for being in the studio here today with us. It's been a pleasure. And thank you to the crew here. Thank you to Jim as well. And thanks for tuning in to NDI November.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Motorsport demands speed, performance, and precision in the track and also in live production. My name is JM from Kiloview team. Today, I've been invited by Malaysia Speed Festival to attend one of the Merdeka race here in Sepang International Circuit. What I have been told that we have NDI products, Kiloview products, empowering the whole production workflow over here. I'm really thrilled and I can't wait to see you guys what's in there. Now let's go.
Hi, my name is Adian and I am the principal for MSF Racing Series, that's Malaysian Speed Festival. We are possibly Malaysia's largest racing series. We have 5-6 races a year. We have superbikes, cars, wow, go-karts, off-road bikes, all sorts of things. So we're very active. It's been 15 years I've been doing this now, and only in the past few years we've been able to do live broadcasts. Previously, it was not very affordable, and we run on a very tight budget. To be able to do a live broadcast would have been prohibitively costly, something we can't afford. Right now, with the wireless technology and the NDI and all that, enable us to be able to roll out live broadcasts within our form of cost structure. There's a lot less time spent on the setup as well. We noticed that, yeah. So the team is able to come in on that one day, set up, they test it. I'm not a technical person, so I don't really know. But by the evening, it's all up and running and good to go. And the quality is fantastic. And that's what we're looking for.
My name is Jane. I'm from Midwich Asia. So we're very excited to be part of this MSF Merdeka race together with MSF and Kiloview. And we're introducing them what's possible in live production on the NDI ecosystem. Traditionally, when it comes to live production on sports, especially motorsports, at such a large venue with 15 corners in Sepang Circuit, you actually will expect like big OV bands, using RF and satellites to get all your remote feeds. But we make it possible with NDI on wireless as well as in NDI HX. So when this was being introduced and we shared this to MSF, like saying, hey, why don't we give this a try and see how long we can run this perfectly and seamlessly and smoothly for the whole live production. So yeah, we're glad that ever since we set up since yesterday and today, it has gone well. Even the setup was simple because the cabling is already been reduced almost half of it compared to the traditional baseband methods. As well as with the wireless, it's possible as well with NDI HX because it doesn't require a very high bandwidth, and we have managed to receive as all the 6 camera feed smoothly and no issue at all. Well, at this moment, we have been running almost 6 hours and we've got like another 6 hours to go. So we will foresee like if we have not had any problem faced from the 6-hour stream earlier, I think we have no issue for the next 6 hours. With NDI was being introduced, I have to say even myself, when full bandwidth was not possible, it was hard for a lot of people to accept because network infrastructure is challenging because of full bandwidth. But when HX was being introduced, it became possible, accessible by actually I would say medium and low budgeted production pool. So with HX now, I think I'm confident we were able to achieve more reach to the mid and the low tier of our live production team. We actually work with a team of this production team that has been on SDI baseband. And when we introduced them, the NDI workflow and the whole ecosystem, they were not very familiar with it because, of course, they are not IT savvy guys. But by introducing them and educating them, you can actually hybrid those SDI baseband or HDMI into NDI workflow and make it possible to reuse their existing equipment, but to have the back-end infrastructure in NDI that's set up with less cabling and less hassle of even packing, for example, compared to network. So now you can see a bunch of network cables that is being used. With 6 streams into one network is possible.
It's been an experience here in the Merdeka race. Seeing Kiloview and NDI in action proves that streaming can be affordable, agile, and flexible. And the day is still young. I'll see you guys on the next video.
Thank you to everybody who's joined us for another segment of NDI November. Thank you to Judy and Dan and Jim for having that great conversation on all of the things that is happening with Kiloview in the NDI world. And, you know, of course, thank you so much to Roberto Musso, Dr. NDI, for joining us and doing a little bit more deep dive into some of even those Kiloview products that Judy, Dan, and Jim talked about. I do want to remind everybody that we will be doing shows all month long throughout November, including we have 2 shows tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern. We will be doing a system integrator spotlight with Peak Media, and then we will also be joined by Mike Bergeron from Panasonic to talk about their PTZ cameras and AV over IP workflows. But then we have shows all next week and the following week as well. On Tuesday next week, we will be joined by George Burchell from Epiphan.
we're going to have a deep dive into network infrastructure with Netgear, and then Jim McLean from Matrox will join us as well. On Thursday, we will have Jeremy Morris from VizRT joining us. That's going to be a great show, talking a little bit more about VizRT's audio solutions. And then in our final week on Tuesday, the 18th, we will be joined from Dan Mial from BirdDog. And then on Wednesday with David Duku from Canon. And on Thursday, again, we will be having an NDI roundtable event where we will have most, possibly all of the NDI advisory board members on for a show to do just an overview of NDI and what they see for the future of NDI. So definitely, if you haven't already registered, register at ndinovember.com, and we'll see you tomorrow.